Today is John's Christmas present because I am in the BMW i8 and this is an amazing car. As you can probably hear, we're starting off in full electric, which is this car's party trick. It's what sets it aside from every car in its class, really. And it's why I think it's probably, for me anyway, I know people in the comments will probably disagree, but for an 100 grand sports car, it's probably my pick. The BMW i8 has been around with us for 10 years now. It was launched in 2014. And if I'm honest, I've never really looked at it as a car that I find desirable. I've never been able to afford one. Maybe now I could potentially stretch to it. But on my first day at Auto 77 a few years ago, the BMW i8 was actually the first car that I ever detailed. And I remember watching it and I thought, hang on, it's a bit interesting. Like, where does that channel go? What's that panel for? What is all this about? There's loads of really interesting details on the exterior of this car, but I never drove it on that day. And then earlier in the year, we had another i8. It was a dark grey one, and I drove it for the first time and I thought, whoa, this thing is a little bit special. It was only about 2-3 miles I did in it, and it left this lasting impression, and I thought, I need to get to know this car a bit more. Here we are now in December with our 4th i8 that we've sold, I think. And I've driven this one a few times now, and I am totally smitten with this thing. It is a fabulous car, and I'll go into a bit of detail why. When the i8 was a new car, it was about 100 grand, a little bit more in fact. And now you can pick them up for around 35 grand. This one is up for sale for 34. And I challenge you to find a better example than this one. Check it out on the website. I'll put it in the link below. So yeah, it's a 100 grand car. What is it? It's a rival to a Porsche 911, Audi R8 perhaps, Jaguar F-Type. But it has a completely different character. It's a true daily, in my view. The Jaguar F-Type is a lovely car. It looks great. It sounds great. But to me, it's not a proper daily. It's a little bit too loud. In wet conditions, it's a little bit unruly. You put your foot down and the back end squirms about a little bit, which is immense fun. But sometimes when you're going on your little commute to work, you don't want that kind of excess. You might even want to just run it in full electric. This is what the i8 gives you. You can do your commute 2 or 3 miles, even 10 miles, in full electric mode, and on a cold, frosty morning, that might just clinch it for some people. So what have we got in this car? We have quite an interesting powertrain. Behind me, behind these rear seats, you might see, we have a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine from a Mini Cooper. Not a Cooper S, just a Mini Cooper. Yeah, it's been heavily revised with the turbos and the internals, and it produces, I think, about 230 horsepower on its own. At the front, we have an electric motor, and the batteries are sort of placed around the middle of the car, quite low down, and that produces around 130 horsepower. So in total, we're looking at about 360 horsepower, which is not a lot of power, but because you've got that instant torque from the electric, and this mini engine is actually a bit of a cracker. It shifts a lot. It's 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Top speed, it'll go straight up to 155, I would have thought. No problem at all. And it's usable performance. You know, you can have 1,000 horsepower. If you can't put it down on the tarmac, you might as well have a Golf GTI. This uses every single horsepower that is under the bonnet, or whatever it is. I don't even know where the engine is on this car. But what it means is you've got petrol engine driving the rear, electric motor driving the front, you've got a four-wheel drive motor, so you've got confidence in this car. This is a fantastic road car, it really is. With the likes of the Audi R8 or the Jaguar F-Type, you're 100% aware that you are driving something that's fast and loud and sporty. Whereas with this, you know, I'm 34 now, I'm getting old, my knees hurt. When I get up from being sat down, it's a struggle, it takes time. And to me, the i8 is just so much more usable and so much more comfortable on UK roads. And you know, life's getting stressy, we're getting loads of traffic and all that stuff. And it's Christmas, it's especially busy. And the last thing you want to be doing is being sat in an Audi R8 with a loud V8 or a V10 behind you, like not the best gearbox unless you've got the dual clutch. Whereas with this, it's so calming. It'll just switch by itself to electric, or it'll fire up the engine when needed. And it just doesn't make much fuss, it's just lovely. Listen to how quiet this is. I haven't even got noise cancellation on my new mic. And it's just peaceful in here. It's a real party trick of the i8. But if you want to have fun, you can. You just knock the gear lever over into sport mode, engine fires up, you get a bit more noise. Yeah, a lot of it's pumped through the cabin, and then when you put your foot down, it's a fast car, this. And the noise is amazing. It sounds, you get a little bit of like straight six vibes from it, you get a little bit of 911 vibes from it, and yeah, it's a bit synthesized, but who cares? Who cares really? We live in a world now where we're getting PPF filters and all that, which are drowning out sound. Turbos are killing engine sounds. For someone to enhance it using a bit of tech, like, why not? But it shifts, it pulls really hard, this thing. The electric motor offers instant torque. The cabin is lovely. With the likes of the Audi R8, I can't even fit in it, so I'm not even going to be able to ever own one. With this, the seating position is good. I'd like to sit a little bit lower, but I think the batteries are not helping with that. I guess we should have a good look round the cabin, so I'm going to go back to base, have a little bit of a wardrobe change. Apologies for that, we're not in Hollywood, and I'll show you the inside and maybe the back seats. Whee! This has to be one of the best interiors that I've sat in a long time, and you have to remember that this car is over 10 years old now, and it still looks thoroughly modern, and it has technology which you'd have in a brand new car, and some technologies that you don't. For example, this is Gorilla Glass. It's special chemically hardened glass, which is dual layer, and it's lighter than normal glass and stronger. That is here throughout the car, including the back window. It was the first production car to have laser headlights, standard, and just look at it in here, it's beautiful. Look at this leather. We've got two-toned black leather, white leather. We've got loads of technology. We've got the digital dials. The M4 and the M3 were doing analog dials at this time, but this is full digital. And the switchgear here is actually from an M3 and M4, so it's all quite familiar and everything's just in the right place, but the design is just stepped up a level. It's fabulous. Look at these seats. They're thin, and the reason for that is because they're lightweight, and also it's to save room in the cabin because it actually has some back seats. Maybe we should try them out. So BMW have quite possibly created one of the best cars ever. They've put in the electric motors in the front, they've got the engine in the back, they've got a little boot, and they've got this lovely cabin up front. But they wanted it to be a four-seater, so instead of putting actual seats in, they seem to have put in these little naan breads. So they're just padding basically attached to the shell. So we'll try and get in.
I've moved this seat forward slightly just so I can actually get in, because otherwise it'd be impossible. I could still drive it in this position. Oh God, how do I get in? Gravity? Maybe this way. Oh, oh. Right, okay. Feet are in. I can't close the door. Do you know what? I've got no room in here.
Downsides to this car, well, it's a four-seater, which is a plus point, but really you're not going to get two people in the back in comfort for any distance unless they're really small. It's like a token effort, really. But the fact that they got 4 seats in and an engine behind it and a boot, you've got to applaud them for that. The boot itself is not huge, so if you want to go on, let's say, a weekend blast down to France or wherever, if there's 2 of you, you're going to have to use the boot and probably the back seats, because the boot's just not big enough for a couple of weekend bags. Maybe some small bags, but not suitcases or anything like that. And then obviously you've seen we've got the butterfly doors on here, which are quite a good solution actually to getting in and out. But if you went to a car park, you're going to have to park your car far away from others, because you need a lot more space to open these, and you can't really see where the bottom of the door is when they're opening, so it's quite hard to judge whether you're going to hit the car next to you. But if you've got a car like this, my girlfriend hates it when I do this. I park miles away anyway from the entrance to Tesco, and she goes nuts. But it's just got to be done. Simple as that. So the cramped back seats, the boot and the doors, to me, are the only downsides of this car. Getting in and out for me isn't a problem because I've got long legs and I've worked out a really good way of getting in, which just requires gravity really. You don't even need to use any muscles. But for shorter people, getting out is a problem, because when you put your legs on the sill, you can't actually get your feet on the ground, so you've got to then lift yourself up, and you're working all these muscles. So the compromises with sports car ownership, aren't they? They're slight. I guess the main rival to the i8 is the 911, because you can get those with back seats. They're incredibly usable on a daily basis. But to me, they're both very different cars. I don't think really that a 911 owner and an i8 owner are in the same market. I think a 911 person is, an enthusiast. They love Porsche. They go out, they buy the 911. I don't think they're going to get tempted away from a 911 for an i8. And at the same time, I think someone who buys an i8 may have briefly considered a 911, but I think they probably wanted, that outlandish style, the practicality of having a hybrid powertrain, and just something a bit different. So I think the i8 is at the top of its class. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I just wish they did an M version. Can you imagine if they got rid of the back seats and put a straight 6 engine in with a hybrid powertrain? How cool would that have been? That would have been the M1 back with us, wouldn't it? So yeah, this is one of my favourite cars of 2024. I think it's an absolute masterclass from BMW.